Good evening, everyone. Today, we are towards the end of the Real Life Hero series, which we started a few weeks back. And today is the last of that series before we begin again a few weeks later. But for the closing ceremony, we have one of the most renowned, if I could say, IPS officers who have donned the uniform as a guest and a real life hero today. He's somebody who's very well known. He's a TV panelist, and I would like to read his awards and applause. The reason being so long, it's very difficult to remember them, sir. So apologize for having to read a few of them. Most people are aware that he is a President's Gallantry Award winner, but other than that, he's also in 2014 Limca Book of Records, the most decorated IPS officer of India. The most decorated. You've seen heroes wear uniforms in films, but if you want to see the real hero, how they wear a uniform, how they conduct themselves, how they take care of their men, how passionate they are for justice when they have to provide safety, security, and justice to the public, then today the guest of honor for us, the Chancellor of the Noida International University, is our real life hero and panelist. Good evening, sir, and welcome, and thank you so much for coming to the CatFit and Pink Revolution and Ladli Foundation platform today to share your story, sir.
God bless you, Arpan. Thank you so much for the very kind introduction. And of course, I do not deserve all the accolades, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder. God bless you. God bless you.
Thank you so much. No, indeed, whatever we say is always going to be less. I know it from my heart of hearts. And my co-host with me today is, again, very well-renowned person. Major Muhammad Ali Shah is very well-renowned for his motivational talks and his TV as a TV panelist. Welcome aboard, Major. Please, as they like to say, start shooting right away. you love action, so start with action.
First thing, I have just learned something straight away from the great man, from Dr. Vikram Singh. Firstly, the officer, the gentleman who needs no introduction at all. We all know, we all are aware of him. We all have seen him serve the country. We all have seen him on television, on various panels, having the most mature and the balanced stand and the balanced view. Adding on just slightly a bit further to what Arpan just mentioned, Dr. Vikram Singh he was born on 22nd May 1950. He's an Indian educationalist, apart from being one of the topmost cops of the country. Dr. Vikram Singh, he joined the IPS in 1974. He retired from the IPS in 2010, and he has been an academician. He has contributed a great deal to the academia. Sir, I would like to ask you, rather, I only know it. It's for viewers who are viewing you right now. They would like to know your journey right from your childhood to your college days and subsequently joining the IPS and becoming the top cop, one of the top cops in the country, being the Director General of Police of UP. We all know that from the year 1977 to 1979, the year I was born, you were ADC to the Governor of Uttar Pradesh. So we would like to know your journey right from your childhood to now, sir.
Major Shah, we were not nuclear families. I was one of the youngest of the 7 brothers and sisters, had the best of education. My parents were ideal. I haven't seen God Almighty, but yes, if there's a God, they are my parents. May their souls rest in peace. There was not a single hardship which they did not encounter to see to it that we all brothers and sisters got the best education. Pain, sacrifice, and effort were the 3 things that my father and mother always told me, that yes, these are things that you will never be out of fashion and they will hold you in good stead. And there are 2 or 3 things that winners always do. As a school child, as a college going person, getting up early in the morning before the sun rises. Every Suryavanshi has to get up before the sun rises. You are a Suryavanshi, and every Suryavanshi has to get up before sunrise. The moment you get up after sunrise, well, I would say that one has already lost half the battle. The second is, there is no shortcut to success. If I am a student, then 99% of my energies must go to academics. If I'm in the police, 99% of my energies must go to policing and not to, there's nothing wrong, I don't criticize anyone. on dance forms and classical music and things. But if you are so passionate, then policing or any profession, if you are a scientist, then perhaps also 99% of the energies must go. Focus, daily improvement plus time would make a genius. Focus, daily improvement. It is not that I just say. Arpan belongs to Bareilly and I did my class 10 from GIC Bareilly. Small anecdote, and I got 65% marks. My name was written on the brass plaque in the principal's room. Vikram Singh, first divisioner, distinctions in 3 subjects. But that was in 65. Today, if somebody were to get 65%, the father and mother will go into a fit of depression. Ki ladka nalaik nikal gaya. Because 65% does not take a person very far. Mediocrity is the current sin. Mediocrity in any form, professional, academics, is a sin. Therefore, to be in the best, you have to behave like the best, give all that you have. In college also, going to the Allahabad University, you were with the best of the best. The teachers also gave you a roadmap, and then you have to pursue that. And there was no place. We never got a first division because Allahabad University does not encourage first divisioners. You really have to be born twice to get a first division. Though a second divisioner, yet topped the BSc and the MSc. Joined the police. In my time, it was not possible to join any profession or marry where you wanted to. It was the parents' calling and prerogative to take up a job where they wanted you to go. My choice was to be, and I already was working in the Allahabad University, but they said, no, you qualify for the services. I joined the services. And then I joined the service with single-minded devotion. I did not know, like Rip Van Winkle, I don't know what happened to the world, which cinema came, which cinema went, what were the fashion and what were not the fashion. I joined the police, served sincerely, got 3 gunshot injuries on me. God was very kind, the prayers of my well-wishers, and I'm sitting in front of you. And then people would say, Ki, you have been at the topmost position, not for a year, not for 2 years, but for 3 years plus. You must be a man of at least 1,000 crores. My total worth is not even 1 crore, and that is my honor. My total worth is this, that I have not, what to talk of doing, looked at anything that is illegal or immoral. And that is why the senior most politicians, when they speak to me, they do so with the greatest of respect.
So,
Hair
commendable,
raising
very inspiring.
indeed.
So, so you
Thank you.
have such
Very,
a
very
decorated
inspiring,
officer,
sir.
Thank you.
so modest, so humble, and so humility is something which one should learn from you. One of the most decorated officer of the Indian Police Services. So you are a President's Police Medal awardee. You're a Bar 2 President Police Medal awardee. That too for gallantry.
Yes.
Indian Police Medal for gallantry. The President's Police Medal for distinguished service. Indian Police Medal for long and military service. Kathan Seva Medal. A Bar 2 Kathan Seva Medal. Lieutenant Bar 2 means do bar, second
Yes.
time.
Yes. Yes.
So you have got so many honors. You have been an assistant superintendent of police at Mirzapur from December 76 to September 77, if I remember correctly, sir. You've been the AG to the governor, I mentioned. You've been superintendent of police in Agra and Hamirpur, June 1979 to September 81. You've been the DIG of Moradabad Range, Meerut Range, 91 to 96. I mean, and also after that, the IGP, the Additional Director of Police, Law and Order, Interstate Border Force, DGP to the Vice Chancellor and Pro Chancellor, sir. Would like to know which has been your toughest tenure amongst all and why, sir?
Go back in time. You would find 2 assignments. One is SP Hamirpur and the other was SSP ETA. The number of police casualties then would compare with what's happening, akin to what is happening in Kashmir. The number of policemen killed, there was a case known as Nathuapur Kand. Nathuapur Kand was that the entire police station of Aliganj was decimated by a gang known as Chaviram gang. He came with a gang of 70, outflanked Inspector Rajpal Singh and butchered Inspector Rajpal Singh, 2 sub-inspectors, 2 head constables, and a contingent of 10 constables and a home guard. That is the biggest carnage that the UP police has ever suffered. I was airlifted from Hamirpur, another very difficult charge, to ETA. For 3 years, people said, do not put on your nameplate. Do not put up the red beacon light on your car because the outlaws might see you and then ambush you. Okay, if that be the price I have to pay, so be it. I will not remove my nameplate and would not conceal my beacon light. If anybody is born of his father, let him come and then let us exchange bullets. And if it is the will of God that one of us should die or both should die, then again, it is the Almighty's will. But I will not take the easy way out ever. And that was the time. Himmate marda madade khuda. If I were to say that I was successful, I think the blessings of my parents and also my team, every person, right from the constable, right to my additional SPs, all the gangs that were there, more than 200 neutralizations, and ETA is clean till date. Not a single case of banditry after I left. But that is at a price that my wife developed at a very tender age, heart problems, blood pressure, diabetes because of the stress. I never knew what stress was. The stress, as the shock absorber, my better half took all the stress on herself. But that's hard. In the line of duty, your family, Major Shah, who would know better? My family, this is an Arpan's family too. This is a small price that all of us have to be expected to pay upon the call of duty. Hamirpur was again. Then the Punjab terrorism came. That was when I was DIG Muradabad. You see, Pratap Singh Sarpanch, when his gang came, he would have GPMG machine guns. And he would also have, we were not even privy to AK-47s. And those gangsters had AK-57s, night vision devices, infrared aiming devices. And we were still saddled with the 303 rifles, Lee Enfield Mark IV. And the luckier ones had the SLRs, but nothing to match AK-47s, AK-57s, the rocket launchers, and the other sophisticated weapons. But when you have the backing of the people, the government, you work hard, you always have the better of desperados. And then you got the better of them. And I would also like to recall what happened in Saharanpur when I was DIG, Meerut. You may have heard of Sayyid Muhammad Umar Sheikh, the number 2 of Al-Qaeda. People always say that we never had Al-Qaeda in India, but he was Al-Qaeda number 2, second only to Osama bin Laden. They kidnapped 2 British and 3 American tourists from Delhi, took them to Saharanpur, and after a valiant encounter, we were able to capture Sayyid Muhammad Umar Sheikh, but we lost Inspector Dhruvalal Yadav and a constable. No other than Sir John Major wrote to me personally, congratulating me and saying, it is from Her Majesty's government that we convey the deepest sense of condolences to the bereaved family and the heroes, and my appreciation to you and to your leadership, which secured the release of 2 British hostages and 3 American hostages. If there's anything that Her Majesty's government can do, it will be my proud privilege as the Prime Minister to be at your beck and call. And Sayyid Muhammad Umar Sheikh was with us for about a good 1 month. We had all the intelligence inputs, interrogate him so thoroughly that whatever he has inside him must come out professionally in the interest of the nation and for world peace. And that was, I would not say I had a premonition, but lo and behold, the Indian Airlines hijacking happened, and he, along with Azhar Masood and another terrorist, were set free in Kandahar. These were tough, but I don't say they were not insurmountable. When you have the courage, when you get the courage from your mother's milk, nothing is insurmountable. I do not even know. When I got the bullets, I did not even feel the pain of even an injection needle. It was only when I came home, I started taking off my clothes. There's some blood on me. I must have that. This must have been the blood of the dead bodies that I lifted and put them in the ambulance. No, you are bleeding yourself. The intestines are coming out. So that was the time I realized. But I can assure you, when you are on the right track, the Heavenly Father looks after you and your interest and your life and your breath.
So you've done your PhD in ecology in the year 1990. You've done your MSc in 1972.
I don't think
your father,
your
PhD in ecology in the year 1990. Yeah, but you say something? In 1972. Your father.
Yeah, please, Major, carry on. I think there's a time lag in the audio.
All right. So your father, Mr. Markandeya Singh, and your mother, Lakshmi Devi, they were all great people. People know of them. What's one thing that you learned from your parents at home, which we would attribute to education, and something unique you learned during your academic time as literacy, sir? As we all know, there's a difference between education and literacy. So what's one thing which you've learned remarkable, which stands apart from literacy in education, and the other thing in literacy, sir?
Two or three good three things: that you have to be a good human being before you are anything else. You have to be honest, straightforward. Father was one person who was a man of monosyllables and very little, but he was a role model. Never drank, never smoked, and there was now जिसको कहते हैं हराम का एक रुपया मेरे घर में कभी नहीं आया. And then they said it is better to be a frugal. It is better to be absolutely hand to mouth than to live in a luxury at the cost of dishonesty. A dishonest person cannot be a kshatriya as you are, Major Shah, and as I am. A kshatriya would rather die than to succumb to anything that is immoral or that is illegal or that is totally unacceptable in my family. Then also when I was 16, my mother called me and said, it is of course maybe very debatable what my mother told me, but I think it is very interesting and people can laugh it off. They need not implement, but I did implement it in my home. And my mother said, Ki, there are three or three things that we do. You are now a big boy. Ye ghar sharifon ka hai. This house. And there are three things that we don't do. Boys from good families do not stay out after dark. They come back home before dark. And when they go for more than 10 minutes, they tell their mother and take permission, not intimate that I am going. They take prior permission from their mother where they are going and why. The second is that the day you consume liquor, don't come back home. I'll presume that I did not have a son. The third is if you fall into a love affair while a student, once you pass out, once you're on your own, that is the time when we'll respect for you to go and have an affair. But till the time you are a student, your full-time energy should be on academics. And if you choose to fall in love or be in a brawl or be in a street fight, again, don't come back home. Your father is not going to bail you out. And here is a small advertisement. विक्रम सिंह पुत्र मार्कंडे सिंह की सोहबत बिगड़ चुकी है. इसको हम अपनी सारी विरासत से बेदखल करते हैं. इससे हमारा कोई लेना देना नहीं है. Don't think for a moment, Vikram, that the sun will rise only when you smile. The sun will set only when you are with me. The sun will rise with you, without you, and in spite you. You're not indispensable. I would rather have an honorable son than to have a dishonorable son. So that was the instruction that my mother gave in a no-nonsense term. And I said, sporting that now there is no hair on my scalp. But when I had a lot of hair, good hair, like you, Major Shah, my only thing that as a student of MSc, I got a call on the landline from my classmate. The second call was also from my classmate. I was a good boy. I never looked here and there. But my mother said कि तुम्हारे पर निकल रहे हैं, मुझे लग रहा है कि तुम्हारे लक्षण ठीक नहीं है. Call the barber and give a shave. उनका अम्मा जी, what will happen? What will the students say? उनका जैसे कि माँ की माँ गुजर गई, तेरे ही करा के आए हैं. From 1972 to till this date, I think this has been my permanent hairstyle. Caning, cold bath, and bad food were the three ingredients of students. Boys, not the girls. The girls were brought up like princesses, but the boys were brought up like Spartan warriors. There was nothing softy about them. The best food, but the most coarse of clothes. A hard lifestyle. Nothing like a dandy. No fashion, no aftershave or cologne. If anybody were to put on a cologne, which my brother who was an army officer had just put on for the sake of it. Oh, acha, you put on a cologne. किस पे बिजली गिराने जा रहे हो? Have you seen your face in the mirror? कोई नहीं रूठेगी. Go and wash your face and go and take a bath. And next time you put on a cologne, rest assured, my rolling pin will take care of you. So that was the kind of a no-nonsense approach that my parents had, but I still said and I reiterate, they are my gods. I still worship them. Till date, Major Shah, I have not touched liquor. I don't know what the liquor tastes like. Khatti hoti hai, meethi hoti, it is sour or sweet. I don't know what gudka pan masala is like. I don't smoke. And though Kshatriya and in the police, you will say, well, you are an anachronism. But Arpan would know. His father is a distinguished colleague of mine. And he would know that I have lived my life the way an upright officer is expected to be. Not very prosperous, but at the same time, my prosperity is beyond compare. I'm second to none when I feel that I'm bigger and better than I have thought. And when you are a man of integrity, the topmost person in the country will respect you for that.
Very true, sir.
Really, sir.
Very true. In fact, sir, my next question was on the same lines, and I don't know how fair is it for me to ask me to ask you this question, and you can choose to not answer it if you don't want to. So there was this era when we had IPS officers such as yourselves, and even at an SSP or a DIG rank, you wouldn't have local politicians, browbeat you. There was no chance. Even today, your voice, that command is there, the integrity, it is there. You can see it. Unfortunately, what is your take, sir? What has gone wrong in the IPS of today? I don't mean any disrespect to them, but unfortunately, majority of them I interact with somehow do not have to. They don't have the class which is expected, wherein they bend to very easily. They bend to local goons, criminal elements, or politicians, putting aside the justice, law and order, which they should be actually upholding. What is your take on this, if you want to answer it?
Of course, I will answer. And I'm so happy that you asked this question, because if you had not asked this question, the interaction would be incomplete. You see, a major thing that has gone away, it's like a body, the soul has left. When I joined service and came to my state, my guru B.S. Bedi, SSP Allahabad, he said, in the cadre of 400 IPS officers in the state, there are these 3 officers who have a reputation of not being honest and straightforward. We treat them as outcasts and we don't meet them, we don't interact with them socially. 3 out of 400 was the figure in 1974. I leave it to both you gentlemen. What is the figure now? Will it be in the reverse?
It is definitely.
I leave it to your imagination. Now I would say that what the thing is, when as ADC to governor, I sent my car, personal car, for change of tires. And the Panchar wala said, sir, there's a request. Some senior retired IP officer, Imperial Police, a former DGP of Uttar Pradesh, wants to buy your worn out tires. What is the price that he would like? Because who's that officer? I can take his name with the greatest of respect and honor, because this is something that will a lesson and a lighthouse of Mr. G.R.M. IP, Imperial Police, retired as DGP Uttar Pradesh, but he led a life that was absolutely upright. And then his capacity was that he could not buy brand new tires for his car after retirement. He was looking for second-hand tires. And that, I would say, Arpan, is a matter of tremendous honor for any retired officer. And today, why do we bend head over heels to politicians? We want a posting that is so-called important. What people say important, I say lucrative. If my consideration is only that my paycheck from the President of India is my only consideration, then one posting is as good or as bad as the other. But if I'm looking at the creature comforts and the amount of money that I can make, after getting 3 gunshot injuries and serving honorably for 36 years, my total emoluments were 77 lakhs. Abdul Karim Telegi was very fond and smitten by a bar girl. And on one night after the dance, he gave her 84 lakhs. Do you mean to say that I am lesser than that dancing girl? But I choose to become a dancing girl. I can earn as much every day. The choice is mine. Do I choose to become a dancing girl, or I choose to become an honorable IPS officer like G.R.M.? Be frugal, be honorable. There's an option in front of everyone to become a dancer girl by the name of Bobby, and to make 85 lakhs every day, or learn the hard way, make 77 lakhs in a lifetime, and perhaps go to the happier world in once in a while also. But I still will say, not once, 100 times, this is the only path that we government servants and public servants have. This path of luxury. Even the Panwala at the GPO Lucknow earns more than the DGP and the Chief Secretary taken together. Would anyone like to change places with the Panwala? No. Therefore, man does not live by bread alone, Arpan. The reason is that the neurotic pursuit of materialism is the cause of all our ills. Arpan, I would invite both a Major Shah that my modest home in Lucknow, that is an MIG house, that is all that I have, which my father gave me, because my father said you'll not be able to make a house for yourself. And people say that, sir, even sub-inspectors have better houses than you have. This is my honor, that nobody can raise a finger that I have robbed, I have usurped, I have used dishonest means to build a house for myself, in which I do not have the moral courage even to put on my signboard there. Because I know the CID and the CBI will be after me for assets beyond known sources of income case be piled upon me.
Wonderful to hear that story, sir. And just to bring you now, sir, then you became IG STF, Special Task Force. You told me this story, but for the audience, because I found it very fascinating that for the first time, the special task force was starting. If you could just, for the audience, summarize that STF story, how you started and how difficult and challenging it was, and the the best criminals that you managed to grab.
Yes, Major Shah. There was a time when nothing changed for the Indian police for 125 years. Our laws, our weaponry, our tactics, our modus operandi. But around the mid 80s, something happened. Something known as organized crime came. And in the organized crime, you had educated criminals, technologically expert criminals, criminals that had international presence, criminals that went beyond not only the district boundaries, the state boundaries, but also the international boundaries. They resort to technologies, use fast moving cars, use technology, satellite phones, gizmos, weapons. We were totally unequal to the challenges that was given by them. Broad daylight murders of VIPs, broad daylight murders and bank loots by the dozen, and the government did not know what to do. So there was a brainstorming session, and then it was realized that perhaps the police need to be technologically at least a generation ahead of the underworld to have or give a befitting reply to them. And that is why the creation of the STF happened. To begin with, when the STF happened, I was the IG. I was the IG, founding IG for 4 years, and I was ably assisted by Arun Kumar, who's now the DG RPF. I was guided by Mr. Ajay Sharma, former police commissioner of Delhi. But this was an uphill task to get the latest technology. How to get the latest technology? Electronic surveillance, hacking of emails, how to access the emails and get to the access. Because in those days, to begin with, it was the faxes. If I were to intercept some fax, SMSs, mobile interceptions, that was something that is wrong. The first 12 months, we got our successes because of electronic surveillance, the technology, the weaponry that we had. That was hardly anything when we got Sri Prakash Shukla, on which film Seher is made. There was another film made on the STF operations, Subedar Arpan Singh Tomar also. And when we got Sri Prakash Shukla, it was because of his excessive addiction to speaking to his girlfriend on mobile phone. Well, the cat was out of the bag, and after the first encounter, we were as poor as church mice. We did not have anything, but the recovery was 2 crores, 3 AK-47 weapons, about 500 rounds, and 2 vehicles. So we said that these 2 vehicles will be STF vehicles to begin with. These weapons will be taken up by the STF to be used in operations, and also the rounds. The money, of course, had to be deposited in the government treasury, because the Home Secretary, Mr. Rajiv Shah, said, no, you can't keep the money. For even if it's already, you have to deposit in the treasury. You take it again from us. So we did that. We deposited the money in the treasury, and we got it again back from the government. Then, since the government working said that it's not easy to get a budget, so there was a mafia who tried to usurp a widow's house, murdered the widow in Haridwar. The complaint came to us. We got the badmash. We put him behind bars, got a life sentence, and then I am the supurdagar of that property, B3 Vigyanpuri, which continues to be the STF headquarters even today. Sri Prakash Shukla, we tried to auction off his property, but nobody came either to claim the property or even to sell it off. So that happens to be the interrogation house for the STF. So the 2 properties of the STF are absolutely at 0 cost. They continue to be the supurdagars, absolutely as per the book of law, no transgression of the rule of law. And the fact remains that there's not a single case of human rights violation against the STF. Before my STF avatar, it was said that a good police officer is one who's a half butcher and half human. But my thought about third degree changed totally when I joined the STF and started this, that if you're technologically and professionally sound, you don't have to, what to talk of raising your hand, you don't even have to raise your voice. The technology will tell you in what is happening behind the eyeballs of the criminal. The technology will tell you what is cooking inside him. The technology will tell you what is predictive policing. The technology will tell you the entire modus operandi, the chain of weapons, the financial trails, the financial footprints. You don't have to beat up a person and get fake confessions and things like that. I think STF was a great blessing, and it was my proud privilege to establish STF in 6 other states also.
So, speaking on human rights of police, one of your publications also was on the human rights of police, and the other one was on the ecosystems of Central Himalayas. In fact, you won a very prestigious award as well for that, for the human rights of police. There's a lot of people today, there's a lot of human crime. that human rights violation हो गए forces के साथ ये हो गया वो हो गया. But what about the human right violation of the soldiers? No one really, and of the forces, of the policemen. No one really cares about their human rights. They're also human beings. They're also soldiers. They're serving the country. But you have done great service, sir, to the entire community, to the entire country, and we are so proud of you. And what I especially connected with you, what you are saying is same thing what my father tells me, sir. My father, incidentally, also was a three-star general in the army. Thereafter,
We are
became
all
a
aware of that. We
academician.
are all aware. Mhm.
Sir, he became vice chancellor of AMU and then now pro-chancellor of a university now. Same, almost same thing as what you have done, what you are seeing. So I can especially connect with you. And because I too have been in ADC in the year 2005. So, एक हमारा ADC net का अलग होता है, sir. So you have given your children the best gift any parent could have ever given. You send them to the best school, one of the finest schools of the country, paying through your nose, made a lot of sacrifices. So, was it always in your thoughts that, okay, I'll give the best education to my children? Because 7 of you received the best education and you are where you are today.
Major Shah, I salute your father, a distinguished soldier and a patriot. And beginning from there, there's so much that one can learn from him on a regular basis. As a vice chancellor, as an academician, as a soldier, and as a person who has served the nation with absolute dignity and honor. And I would say that, yes, parenting is a full-time job. They have a story in England. There were parents who were very poor, but they gave all that they had to their son. What is the moral about it? We in India will not understand the moral about it. The parents have not done any favor if they look after the child. They make some adjustments, even if they have to go hungry. And I'm sure, I mean, in our society, whether a parent has to go hungry or whether one has to, at least in my case, I can tell you, my parents did not have the luxury of going for expensive vacations, but we never felt deprived. And therefore, it is a part of our DNA also that the topmost priority is that of the children. Every other thing can come later. And therefore, even if I have to starve, even if I have to make any adjustment, the best education shall be for the children. And whatever is there is only for the children. I don't have any private planning. There's a me time. I don't know what is me time. If there is no time for my children, I don't think that me time is all nonsense. And any me time that does not include my wife, my better half, and my children is now absolute nonsense again. Today you have the lady of the house going to have a me time, the lord of the house having a me time, the children having me time. And what is the family there about? Let us bring back the family together. Let us have the shock absorbers and the buffers. I would not have been sitting alive in front of you if my shock absorbers and my family backup was not there. That I could say for my parents also. The best only for the children, and give them the ideal, not tell them, walk the talk. Tell them that you are honest to the core. Tell them that if it is single hardship in the family, it will first impact the parents and then reach the children. That is where everybody would assemble properly at the dining table at 6 in the evening and study till 8:30. Then books are out, plates are in, and then you have dinner together. It is not that I can choose to have dinner in my room. No, it is not going to happen. Or if I don't like lauki and bhindi, I can say, Mummy, I can have ande ki burji. No, whatever is cooked, you jolly well eat it. You will have ande ki burji or korma but you will have it tomorrow. Today, if the food has been, have respect for that food. Have respect for the frugality.
So people have this
so much to learn, sir. Yes.
People have this perception
Yeah,
that
Major Ali, you were saying something.
Go ahead, Arpan. Go ahead, please. Go ahead.
Right. I was asking, sir, you've reached two highest positions one can aspire for. You've gone on to become the highest ranking police officer one can aspire to be. And secondly, in this field of education, you've now the Chancellor of Noida International University. So you, from the top and right from the bottom, you have seen both sides, education and police. There's one, I think you will be the perfect person to answer this question. And because we are live on Pink Revolution as well, and it is followed by over 1 million women. Pink Revolution's the channel is primarily for women, and over 1 million subscribers are all women. So one question that has come is, Why are there so many rapes happening in India? What can the educationists do about it, and what can the police do about it? And you are somebody who's been party to the police, and now you're an educationist. Why is it happening? Why are the numbers rising? So that's one. And secondly, what can we do as a society to curb it? And the reason why I'm asking is, at CatFit we do provide self-defense training to women. We provide psychometric evaluations. We provide leadership skills. But what else can be done?
Arpan, there is so much that we can do. Charity begins at home. My mother's second question was, the day you are caught eve teasing or having an affair, don't come back home. My mother was so firm that we will not have eve teasers in the family. You better not come back home, because it is most dishonorable. Today, what people say, हमारे बच्चे हैं और छुड़ाने चले जाते हैं. If boys are caught eve teasing, even accused of rape, the parents shamelessly go and ask for bail. It was actually, he was so smitten by the girl. Smitten, does it mean that you can go? Certainly no. There has to be an absolute zero tolerance towards this kind of a misdemeanor. They have a saying in Hindi, vansh lochan. Vansh lochan betiyan hoti hain. Vansh lochan bete agar hain to bahut achhi baat hai, lekin betiyan bhi vansh lochan hoti hain. And the second, the parents should instill, as Prime Minister Modi said, tell your boys to behave, tell your boys to be honorable, tell your boys to respect women. Then what can the education do? We, in my university, I would invite both of you to come. We have more girl students than boys. We have more lady students than gentlemen. We have a policy of three things. We don't drink, we don't smoke, we don't have lousy kind of shows in the campus, like Honey Singh. We just have somebody called, since I am not aware of what is happening where, so there was a singer by the name of Honey Singh. It was only when the program started, I learned this is what kind of a show is this? This is absolutely not acceptable in an academy. Just stop the show immediately. Just stop the show. But we have paid many lakhs. Whatever be the money, I am not going to have this show in my campus. Then we also have a policy of zero. Whether it's me, who's the oldest person in the university, or whether it's anybody, we have a policy, whether it's Holi or Diwali, we don't touch ladies come what may. Even in the convocation, I take pains that nobody will touch my feet. It is against all norms. And nobody, there was, and then blessings has to be from a distance of 6 inches at least. No question of touching the head or touching the shoulders. We have a policy of zero touch. And if there's any complaint against anyone, the first you are out of the university, and then we'll order an inquiry. So a no-nonsense approach has to be there. The very fact that somebody, girl, some lady has complained, let us give that due respect to that person, because in any case, it is after extreme reluctance and problems that the complainant has come forth to lodge a complaint. And if we still dilute it and start embarrassing questions, then it doesn't serve a purpose. Come down like a ton of bricks, and let me assure you, ऐसा कहर आया कि आशिक इश्क भूल गए.
Arpan, sir, normally people have a perception that men in uniform मतलब केवल बंदूक चलाते हैं. फौजी आदमी हैं तो मतलब केवल फील्ड में अपनी बंदूक चलाना होगा. पुलिस वाला है तो केवल यहाँ पे लगाई होगी, khaki pahni. But they don't know that people in the forces, policemen, army officers, are trained in so much more. Not just fighting, be it mayor secretary, be it canteen officer, be it hospitality. I think anyone who is served in forces is capable of doing anything in this world, and there's no task which cannot be done. Like again, you are an academic police officer. Like my father was the academic general. So after relinquishing your uniform, after hanging up your boots, now you're contributing to society in terms of education. And that could be because there are only 3 ways, as people say, to take the country forward. The first one, of course, is education. And the second one, of course, is education. And third one is again education. And you're contributing a great deal in that. So what do you want to say to people who perceive कि फोर्सेस का आदमी है तो बंदूक वाला ही होगा बस?
मैं ये कहूंगा कि अगर जिंदगी में कुछ करना है तो 6 महीने मिलिट्री ट्रेनिंग सबके लिए कंपलसरी होनी चाहिए. 6 months of military training is imperative because heroes are never late. They eat below their appetite. They spend less than their income. And they are respectful to women, they're respectful to the flag, they're respectable to the nation. And therefore, I say that before we start respecting the false heroes, buffoons, and scalawags, we need to respect our soldiers. We need to respect our heroes in the army and the uniformed forces because they are our real-time heroes. They are never late. They can be reliable and they are trustworthy, and they are more trustworthy than anything you can possibly think of. If I have to place my money, I would not put my money, nothing, not harm, on actors and actresses, on politicians, but only on the army officers, the uniformed officers. They are my last.
Very well,
Very well said.
very well said.
Very
So,
well said.
in
Very
fact,
well said.
normally what happens is we do have a time of 30-35 minutes, but sometimes, Major Shah, doesn't it happen that you don't want the story to end? But we do
Yeah,
understand
absolutely.
our limitations. We've gone past the 40 minutes mark. So one last question. Thank you so much for extending the time. Uh, our series is called Real Life Heroes, and the theme is challenges to opportunity. You are someone who has seen tremendous amount of challenges, and you've converted plenty of them to opportunity. So, what is your message to the youth of today? How can they convert challenges that come their way into opportunities?
Every challenge has the inbuilt solution in itself. And it's only the hero who knows how to unravel the challenge and get glory for himself and his organization and for himself and his family. There is no challenge that is absolutely unsurmountable. Work on it persistently, and you will see that the results and the entire nature kainat will be by your side to help you and assist you to get to the victory pinnacle. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. Tough times do not last, but tough people do. And here lies the secret. Be persistent, be dogged, and do not nibble at things. Be a master of one. Pursue the goal. Utthisth jagriti prapya varani bodha. Utho jago aur prapt karo.
Superb, sir.
Amazing, sir.
Very well articulated. Very well said, sir. Really, sir.
There's
I've
so
learned
much
so
to
much with
learn.
you, sir. In fact, I've
Same
been,
lines.
we have been on a lot of panels on television together, but here, being on this is more personalized, sir. I would rather call it more personalized than when we had met in the NDTV studios.
NDTV
This
show.
is more
Yes.
personalized than anything else, sir. I mean, thank you very much, sir, for your time. Really,
God bless
really.
you, gentlemen. It was such a privilege. Jai Hind to both of you. Jai Hind to your wonderful
Jai Hind,
show.
sir.
And Jai Hind to the whole country. God bless you. God bless your platform. Thank you ever so much. Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you
Jai
so
Hind,
much,
sir.
sir.
Thank
So
you.
that was, ladies and gentlemen, Dr. Vikram Singh, Chancellor University, President Gallantry Award winner, one of the most decorated IPS officer of India that you just watched today. This was one particular webinar that I seriously didn't want to end, but we understand that all good things, they must end. They do never last. Thank you so much, Major Ali Shah and Dr. Vikram Singh, for a wonderful, terrific evening. I've got so much to learn, and I'm going to go back and watch this again. Measurement, how to measure your words, how to passionately drive what you have to say. Thank you so much. Good evening. Jai Hind, Major Ali Shah.
Jai Hind, Arpan. Thanks. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.